In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Alif, Lam, Mim.
See Surah Al-Ankabut ayah 69 for the Tafsir.
The Byzantines have been defeated.
Commentary. Backdrop of revelation of the Surah, the story of war between Rum and Persia. In the last verse of Surah Ankabut, Allah Ta'ala had given the good tidings to those who would strive and struggle in His way. It was promised that for such people He would open the doors toward Him, and that they would succeed in their objectives. The story that marks the beginning of Surah Ar-Rum is a manifestation of that very divine help. The war referred to in this surah was fought between Romans and Persians, who were both disbelievers, and had nothing to do with the Muslims. The people of Persia were fire worshippers, while those of Rum were Christians, and hence the people of the book. So naturally the people of Rum were relatively closer to Muslims. Many of their beliefs, such as faith in the hereafter, the prophethood, and revelations, were common to Islamic beliefs. The Holy Prophet made use of this part of their beliefs in his letter when he wrote to the king of Rome, inviting him to accept Islam. Come to a word common between us and you. Surah Al-Ran, ayat 64. In fact, it was this affinity between Islam and Christianity that caused the Persians to attack Rum. It happened when the Holy Prophet was still living in Makkah. According to Hafiz ibn Hajar, this war was fought in Syria at a place between the Truah and Basra. The pagans of Mecca aspired for the victory for the Persians in this war because the Persians shared them in their belief in polytheism, but the Muslims wished the triumph of the Christians as they were closer to Islam in their beliefs. But as it happened, the Persians defeated the Christians and conquered the land right up to Constantinople and built a temple there for worshipping fire. This victory was the last for Chosra Parvis. After that, his decline sat in, and ultimately he was removed by the Muslims. Put to by at the defeat of Christians, the infidels of Mecca rejoiced and taunted the Muslims that their favorites have lost. They also claimed that as the Persian infidels defeated the Roman Christians, the same way Meccans would also beat down the Muslims. This claim hurt the Muslims to some extent. Ibn Jarir, Ibn Abi Hatim, the opening verses of Surah Ar-Rum relate to this incident, in which it is predicted as a good tiding that the people of Rum will overcome the Persians again in a few years' time. When Sayyidina Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, learnt about these verses, he went to the infidels in the marketplace and suburbs of Makkah and announced that there was no occasion for them to be happy, as after a few years the Christians would overcome the Persians again. Hearing this, Ubay ibn Khalaf challenged him and said it could not be so, and that he was only telling a lie. Sayyidina Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, said, O enemy of Allah, you are a liar. I am willing to bet on this issue that in case the Christians would not overcome the Persians in 3 years' time, I will give you 10 camels, and if they did overcome, then you will have to give me 10 camels. This was a case of gambling, but gambling was not prohibited by then. After saying that, Sayyidina Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, went to the Holy Prophet and narrated the episode. On that, the Holy Prophet said to him that he did not fix the time of 3 years because Quran has used the word bidsin in a few years, under which the time limit could be anything between 3 to 9 years. Therefore, the Holy Prophet asked Sayyidina Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, to go back to the person with whom he had made the bet and ask him that he would bet for 100 camels instead of 10, but the time limit would be 9, and according to some other reports, 7 years and not 3. Sayyidina Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, followed the instructions of the Holy Prophet, and Ubay ibn Khalaf also agreed on the terms of the new bet. Ibn Jarir, Ubay readily accepted the new terms because he was fully confident that the Romans could not defeat the Persians. Given the circumstances prevalent at that time, such an unshaken confidence of Ubay was not misconceived. The way the Persians had beaten the Roman Empire had left no room for their uprising again. The prediction that the Romans will be victorious against Persians had no basis in the visible possibilities when it was made. Nobody could foresee, in the world of causes and effects, that such an event might take place. Edward Gibbon, the famous historian of the Roman Empire, has observed, placed on the verge of the 2 great empires of the East, Muhammad observed with secret joy the progress of their mutual destruction, and in the midst of the Persian triumphs he ventured to foretell that, before many years should elapse, victory would again return to the banners of the Romans. At the time when this prediction is said to have been delivered, no prophecy could be more distant from its accomplishment, since the first 12 years of Heraclius announced the approaching dissolution of the empire. It is gathered from various ahadith that this incident had happened 5 years before the Hira. After the passage of exactly 7 years, at the time of the Battle of Badr, the Romans defeated Persians. By that time, Ubay ibn Khalaf had died. So Sayyidina Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, demanded 100 camels from his heirs according to the terms of the bet, to which they complied and handed over the agreed number of camels. Some versions of the incident state that before the Hira, Ubay ibn Khalaf expressed his apprehension to Sayyidina Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, that the latter might leave Makkah, and in such a situation he would not let him go unless he appointed a guarantor for himself. It was to ensure that when the period of the bet would expire, the guarantor should arrange to deliver 100 camels. Sayyidina Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, appointed his son Abdurrahman, may Allah be pleased with him, as his guarantor. When Sayyidina Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, won the bet according to the agreement and got hold of 100 camels, he took them to the Holy Prophet, who asked him to give them in charity, Sadaqah. Abu Elias quoted these words in Ibn Asakir on the authority of Sayyidina Ibn ibn Azib. That is, this is prohibited. Give it in charity, Sadaqah. Ru'ul, Ma'ani, gambling. Kimmer, that is, gambling, is absolutely prohibited according to the categorical Quranic injunction. After Hira to Medina, when liquor was banned, gambling was also prohibited simultaneously. It was declared an act of Shaitan. The truth is that wine, gambling, altar stones, and divining arrows are filth, a work of Shaitan. Surah Al-Maidah, Ayah 90, Maysir, and Aslam are nothing but different forms of gambling which have been prohibited in this verse. Betting, in which money or commodities are placed on stake and won or lost according to conditions agreed, is also a form of gambling. The bet made between Sayyidina Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, and Ubay ibn Khalaf was also a form of gambling. But this incident had happened before the Hira, when the injunction for banning the gambling was not revealed. Therefore, the commodity won in this case was not haram, prohibited. Gibbon, The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, Chapter 46, Vol. 2p. 125, Grey Books v. 38, published by the University of Chicago, 1990. Had it not been a news given by Allah Ta'ala, nobody could have dared to predict such an unlikely event. In particular, it was impossible for a claimant to prophethood that he would put his future at stake by predicting an event that was so improbable. This foretelling, therefore, is one of the solid proofs of the prophethood of Sayyidina Muhammad. Muhammad Taqi Azni. The question that arises here is that why did the Holy Prophet ask Sayyidina Abu Bakr to give away the camels in charity when they were not haram, prohibited, especially when in some other versions of the hadith the word suit is used, which is commonly understood as haram? The answer to this query, as given by the religious jurists, is that although at that time those camels were halal, permitted, but the Holy Prophet did not like earning through gambling, even at that time. He therefore asked Sayyidina Abu Bakr to give them away in charity, as they were below his stature. It is identical to the situation that the Holy Prophet and Sayyidina Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, did not taste liquor ever, even during the time when it was not prohibited. As regards the use of the word suit, in the first place the scholars of hadith did not accept this narration as correct, and even if it is accepted as authentic, it should be kept in mind that this word has several meanings. One meaning is haram, prohibited, and the other is abominable and undesirable. It is related in one hadith that once the Holy Prophet said that is, the earning of the one who undertakes treatment by cupping his suit. The majority of religious scholars have taken the meaning of suit here as undesirable or disgusting. Imam Ragib Isfahani in his Mufradatul Quran and Ibn Athir in his Nihaya have proved the different meanings of the word suit in the usage of Arabic language and a hadith of the Prophet. Acceptance of this interpretation of the religious scholars is also necessary because if in fact these camels were haram, then according to religious law, this was to be returned to the person from whom it was taken. The commodity, which is haram, can only be given in charity, sadaqah, under any one of the three situations: 1. When the owner of the commodity is not known; 2. When it is not possible to deliver the commodity to the owner; and 3rd, when there is any religious complication in the delivery of the commodity.
In the nearest land, but they, after their defeat, will overcome.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 2 for the Tafsir.
Within 3 to 9 years. To Allah belongs the command before and after, and that day the believers will rejoice.
And on that day the believers will rejoice with Allah's help. Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 4. The wording of the text apparently implies that Allah's help in this verse refers to his help for the people of Rum. Although they too were disbelievers, yet compared to others, their kufr was light. Therefore, their being helped by Allah Ta'ala was not a far-fetched thing, especially when it was a matter of happiness for the Muslims. The other possibility is that Allah's help in the above sentence means Allah's help for the Muslims, for which two explanations could be assigned. First, that Muslims had presented the victory of Rum as a sign of the truthfulness of the Holy Qur'an and the veracity of Islam. Hence, the victory of the Romans was in fact the victory of Muslims. The second reason for the help of Muslims could be that there were two big powers of the disbelievers at that time, Persia and Rum. By making them fight with each other, Allah Ta'ala made them weak, which helped the Muslims defeat them later. There is yet another explanation of this verse offered by Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, etc. They say that the news of the victory of Romans reached the Muslims the very day in which they defeated the pagans of Mecca in the Battle of Badr. Therefore, the Muslims were delighted on their own victory when the news of the victory of the Romans added to their delight. According to this interpretation, rejoicing of the believers with Allah's help in the present verse refers to the victory of the Muslims in the Battle of Badr, and the good news given by this verse is twofold: one, in relation to the Romans, and the other in relation to the Muslims themselves. Muhammad Taqi Asmani.
In the victory of Allah, He gives victory to whom He wills, and He is the exalted in might, the merciful.
See Surah Ar-Rum Ayah 4 for the Tafsir.
It is the promise of Allah. Allah does not fail in His promise, but most of the people do not know.
See Surah Ar-Rum Ayah 4 for the Tafsir.
They know what is apparent of the worldly life, but they of the hereafter are unaware.
They know something superficial of the worldly life, but of the hereafter they are negligent. These disbelievers were quite conversant with the mundane needs, that is, how to perform trading. Which commodity should they trade in? Where should they make purchases? Where should they sell, etc.? Similarly, they knew well how to tell when to put seeds and when to harvest. They were also equally knowledgeable about the construction of buildings and to furnish them with luxury goods. But they were totally ignorant and negligent about the other aspect of the worldly life, which in fact is more important, and brings forth the real purpose of its creation, that is to appreciate that he is not a permanent resident of this world. Rather, his stay in the world is a temporary stay, like that of a visitor on a tourist visa. Man's permanent abode is in the hereafter, and he has to collect here the goods for his comfort in the next life. The goods of comfort for the next life are the true faith and righteous deeds. This simple and straightforward reality is not understood by these so-called intellectuals. Another point worth consideration in this verse is about the wording used by the Holy Qur'an in this verse. The word zaharan with tanwin, according to the Arabic grammar, indicates that even superficial things of the worldly life are not fully known to them. What they know is only one aspect of it, while they are ignorant of its other aspects, and are totally negligent of the hereafter. This aspect of the language used by the Holy Qur'an has been tried to be reflected in the translation above by the words, something superficial instead of what is superficial. Earning of mundane needs by neglecting the hereafter is no sagacity. The Holy Qur'an is full of admonitory stories of the world. Those who had earned a name for collecting all sorts of luxuries and comforts for themselves, and then their disastrous end was witnessed in this very world, will also be subjected to everlasting torment of the hereafter. So no sane person will call them intellectual or sagacious. Unfortunately, in the present-day world the height of sagacity and wisdom is attributed to the one who could accumulate the largest quantity of wealth and arrange for himself the best of comforts and luxuries. He is called the most successful and wise, no matter how low he might be in his morals. To call such a person wise is indeed an insult to wisdom both by religious and moral standards. By Quranic standard, only those are wise who are conscious of Allah and the hereafter, and strive for the comforts of the next life, keeping their needs of this worldly life at a level at which such needs are necessary, and do not make their achievement the sole purpose of their lives. The following verse depicts the same meaning. Surely, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and in the alternation of night and day, there are signs for the people of wisdom who remember Allah standing and sitting and lying on their sides, and ponder on the creation of the heavens and the earth, saying, Our Lord, you have not created all this in vain. We proclaim your purity. So, save us from the punishment of fire. Surah Al-Imran, Ayah 190 to 191.
Do they not contemplate within themselves? Allah has not created the heavens and the earth and what is between them except in truth and for a specified term. And indeed, many of the people, in the matter of the meeting with their Lord, are disbelievers.
Commentary. The first two verses are an appendix, an endorsement to the previous subject, that these disbelievers are engrossed so much in the temporary mundane glitter and transitory pleasures that they have totally forgotten the real nature of this world and its ultimate end. If they had pondered over this, the secret of this world would have dawned upon them that the Creator of this universe has not created the sky and the earth and the creatures in between just for nothing. There is a great wisdom and purpose behind their creation, which is that people should recognize the Creator through all His creations and then get on to look for things that He likes and dislikes. Once they know His likes and dislikes, they should strive to please Him as much as possible and avoid that which displeases Him. It is obvious that there should be rewards for good deeds and punishments for evil doings, because equating good with bad is against justice and fair play. One should also realize that this world is not the place where his good or evil acts may be recompensed in full. On the contrary, very often it is seen that the evil doers thrive very well in this world, and the one who abstains from evil suffers the troubles and tribulations. Therefore, it is necessary that a time should come when this system should come to an end, and a reckoning of good and evil acts of all the persons takes place, on the basis of which rewards and punishments are awarded. The time when this will come is called the doomsday and the hereafter. The gist of this discussion is that if the disbelievers had pondered over these things, then this very sky and earth and the creatures in between them would have testified that they were not permanent. They are here but for a short time, after which a new world is to come, which will be permanent. This is the essence of the first of the above verses, Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 8. This was a matter of logical rationale. In the next verse, worldly thinking and experiences are presented as a testimony, and the Makkans are addressed in the following words.
Have they not traveled through the earth and observed how was the end of those before them? They were greater than them in power, and they plowed the earth and built it up more than they have built it up. And their messengers came to them with clear evidences. And Allah would not ever have wronged them, but they were wronging themselves.
Have they not traveled on earth? Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 9. It means that the Makkans live in a land where there is neither any cultivation and industry nor any tall and beautiful buildings, but for the sake of trade they do travel to Syria and Yemen. So, have they not seen, during the course of their trips, what was the fate of the earlier people, whom Allah Ta'ala had endowed with skills to make use of the land? For instance, they had the skill to draw underground water by excavating the earth for irrigating fields and gardens, and dig out concealed precious minerals, such as gold and silver, and make use of them to their benefit. For their advanced skills and way of living, they were regarded as civilized nations. But they got engrossed so much in material life, transitory luxuries and comforts, that they forgot Allah Ta'ala and the hereafter. Then Allah Ta'ala sent prophets and books to remind them of their duties, but they did not pay any heed. Ultimately, they were overtaken by Allah's wrath even in this world. The ruins of their desolate cities still stand witness to their destruction. At the end of the verse it is suggested to ponder whether they were subjected to any oppression from Allah Ta'ala, where they subjected themselves to their own cruelty by accumulating causes of the divine punishment.
Then the end of those who did evil was the worst consequence, because they denied the signs of Allah and used to ridicule them.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 9, for the Tafsir.
Allah begins creation, then He will repeat it, then to Him you will be returned.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 9, for the Tafsir.
And the day the hour appears, the criminals will be in despair.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 9, for the Tafsir.
And there will not be for them, among their alleged partners, any intercessors, and they will then be disbelievers in their partners.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 9, for the Tafsir.
And the day the hour appears, that day they will become separated.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 9 for the Tafsir.
And as for those who had believed and done righteous deeds, they will be in a garden of paradise, delighted.
Commentary. They will be in a garden, extremely delighted. Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 15. Hubaran is derived from huber, which means happiness, joy, or delight. This word encompasses all types of delight, which the dwellers of paradise will draw from the bounties of paradise. The Holy Qur'an has not specified this, and has rather kept it generalized. And another place it is said, Surahs, Sajda, Ayah 17, that is, no one knows in this world what delight and joy is in store for them, the people of paradise, in paradise. While explaining this verse, some commentators have mentioned various delightful things, which all fall under the category of joy and delight.
But as for those who disbelieved and denied our verses and the meeting of the hereafter, those will be brought into the punishment to remain.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 15, for the Tafsir.
So exalted is Allah when you reach the evening and when you reach the morning.
So proclaim Allah's purity when you see the evening and when you see the morning, and to Him be praise in the heavens and the earth, and in the afternoon and when you enter the time of Zuhr, soon after the decline of the sun towards west. Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 17 to 18. The word subhan is an infinitive which means to declare the purity of someone from defects. The phrase subhanallah is meant to proclaim Allah's purity from all defects. To recite this phrase with this intention is called tasbih. But in general usage, the word tasbih often includes all forms of worship and remembrance of Allah like salah, dhikr, etc. In the present verse, a verb is understood before the infinitive subhan, which is meant to direct the addressees to make tasbih, which, in its general sense, includes all forms of remembrance of Allah, and salat in particular, as explained above. In the light of this explanation, the present verse, in its beginning, enjoins upon its followers that they should remember Allah in the morning and evening, and at the end of the verse, it is instructed that they should remember Him at the other two times. One of these times is Ashi, which is the name of the last part of the day, and here it refers to the time of Asr, and the other time is when the sun starts declining towards west, that is Zuhr. In the sequence of the present verse, evening is mentioned before morning, and the end of the day, Asr, is mentioned before Zuhr. One reason of precedence of evening over morning is that in Islamic calendar evening precedes the morning, and the day changes at the sunset. Maghrib for precedence of Asr over Zuhr. One reason could be that at the time of Asr, which is also called the middle, wasta, prayer, people are generally busy in their work, and hence it is rather difficult to offer prayer at that time. This is why there is greater emphasis in the Quran for offering Asr prayers. Take due care of all the prayers, and the middle prayer, Surah Al-Baqarah, Ayat 238. In the wordings of this verse, the prayer, Salah, is not specified as such. Hence, all types of worships, whether by actions or by word of mouth, are included in the meaning of the verse. Since prayer is supreme in all worships, it is included here on priority. It is for this reason that the scholars have stated that this verse has clearly described and defined the timings of the 5 prayers. Someone asked, say, Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, whether the Quran is specifically mentioned about the 5 prayers. He answered in the affirmative, and quoted this verse as a proof. Then explaining his point, he said that the words, when you see the evening, are for Maghrib prayer, when you see the morning, for Fajr prayer, and in the afternoon, for Asr prayer, and when you enter the time of Zuhr, for Zuhr prayer. In this way, this verse has described the 4 prayers very clearly. As for the Isha prayer, it is enjoined explicitly in the verse, after the prayer of Isha Surah An-Nur, Ayah 58. Sayyidina Hasan al-Basri, may Allah have mercy on him, has opined that the words, when you see the evening, include both Maghrib and Isha prayers. Special note. This verse is the dhikr of Sayyidina Ibrahim, may Allah be pleased with him, which earned him the title of, and Ibrahim who fulfilled his covenant. Surah An-Najm, Ayah 37. Sayyidina Ibrahim used to recite these words in the morning and evening. It is reported from Sayyidina Mu'adh ibn Anas, may Allah be pleased with him, with authentic proofs, that the reason behind awarding the title of fulfilling his covenant to Sayyidina Ibrahim was his recitation of this prayer. Abu Dawud, Tabarani, and Ibn Asani have reported on the authority of Sayyidina Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Holy Prophet said about these 2 verses, so proclaim Allah's purity when you see the evening and when you see the morning, and to Him be praise in the heavens and the earth, and in the afternoon, and when you enter the time of Zuhr, soon after the decline of the sun towards west, he brings out the living from the dead and brings out the dead from the living and gives life to the land after it is dead. And in similar way you will be brought out. Surah Ar-Rum, ayah 17-19. That whoever will recite them in the morning, all shortcomings in his acts during the day will be repaired, and whoever will recite these verses in the evening, all shortcomings in his actions during the night will be repaired. Ra.
And to him is due all praise throughout the heavens and the earth, and exalted is he at night and when you are at noon.
See Surah Ar-Rum, ayah 17 for the Tafsir.
He brings the living out of the dead, and brings the dead out of the living, and brings to life the earth after its lifelessness, and thus will you be brought out.
See Surah Ar-Rum, ayah 17 for the Tafsir.
And of his signs is that he created you from dust. Then suddenly you were human beings dispersing throughout the earth.
Commentary. After narrating the incident of the war between Rum and Persia in the beginning of Surah Ar-Rum, it was declared that the cause of the misguidance of the infidels and their heedlessness towards the truth was their excessive love for material life and paying no heed to the hereafter. After that, any possible misgiving regarding resurrection on the doomsday and about the rewards and punishment after reckoning was clarified from different angles. Then it was suggested that one should, at the first place, look and ponder within himself, and then should look around and know what had happened to the people who had lived before, and what was their end. After that, Allah's exclusive omnipotence was described, in which no one is his partner. The obvious conclusion of all these facts and reasoning is that no one else but Allah is entitled to being worshipped, and what he has conveyed through his prophets about the doomsday, resurrection, reckoning, paradise and hell and the hereafter should be believed in its totality. In the above verses, 6 manifestations of his omnipotence, together with all-encompassing wisdom, are described, which are the signs of his incomparable power and wisdom. These realities are termed in these verses as signs, which in the present context mean signs of the divine omnipotence. First sign of divine omnipotence. Man, the most distinguished among all creatures, who is the ruler of the universe, is created from earth, which is the most inferior element among all the constituting elements of nature. Among the 4 well-known elements, that is water, fire, air, and earth, the last named does not have the slightest sense, sensation, or movement. All other elements have at least some movement, but the earth is devoid of that as well. However, this element is selected by Allah Ta'ala for the creation of humans. Iblis, Shaitan, was misled by his arrogance as he regarded himself superior to men, since he is made of fire. What he failed to understand was that greatness and superiority is awarded by Allah Ta'ala. He is free to award it to anyone he chooses. Creation of man from earth is obvious with reference to Adam, who is the father of all mankind. Since he was created from clay, the entire mankind, being his progeny, is created indirectly from clay. Every man's creation from earth may also be explained by saying that every man or woman is created from human sperm, which is constituted by different ingredients. The origin of most of these ingredients is nothing but earth.
And of his signs is that he created for you from yourselves mates that you may find tranquility in them. And he placed between you affection and mercy. Indeed, in that are signs for a people who give thought.
Second sign of the divine omnipotence. Allah Ta'ala has created women in the same genus as that of man, and they are made their wives as lifelong partners. Men and women are created from the same matter, yet there is a world of difference in their build, appearance, looks, character, habits, morals, disposition, etc. If one seeks to recognize God, even this creation provides an excellent example of his supreme power. The wisdom behind the creation of this particular sex is said to be, so that you may find tranquility in them. If one ponders, it becomes evident that all the requirements of men from women end up in drawing peace of mind, tranquility, and comfort. The Holy Qur'an has put all that in one word. The verse has thus indicated that the total outcome of married life is peace of mind and comfort. The couple that enjoys it is successful in the object of its creation, while the family that is deprived of peace of mind and tranquility is unsuccessful in its married life. This is also true that the very foundation of a successful married life rests on a lawful marriage. If one probes into the societies that developed illicit ways of living together without the bond of marriage, he will certainly discover that the life of such people is devoid of peace and tranquility. Living like animals to fulfill lust may provide temporary pleasure, but not the lasting peace of mind and comfort one draws from a proper married life. The object of married life is tranquility, for which mutual love and affection is the key. The present verse has declared that the object of married life of man and woman is peace of mind. This could be achieved only when there's a mutual recognition of each other's rights and a sincere effort to fulfill them. Otherwise, the demand for meeting one's own rights only will lead to domestic brawls and shattering of peace. One course for the fulfillment of these rights could have been to lay stress only on legislation and imposing laws, as has been done in the case of other rights of the people, where it is prohibited to usurp the rights of others, and after due warnings the punishments have been prescribed. And it is advised to show sympathy and sacrifice toward others. However, it is a common experience that people cannot be corrected only by giving them a set of laws, unless they are accompanied by nurturing taqwa and Allah's fear in the hearts. That is why the Holy Qur'an, whenever it gives any injunctions regarding the social life of man, comes with the directions of fear Allah as a complement to those injunctions. Mutual relations between man and woman are of such a delicate and sensitive nature that neither a law can ensure the fulfillment of their respective rights completely, nor can any court do full justice to it. It is for this reason that the Holy Prophet has selected those verses of the Qur'an for the khutbah, sermon of nikah, in which stress is laid on piety, fear of Allah, and the hereafter. Only these qualities in the spouses could stand as a guarantor for the fulfillment of mutual rights. In addition to this, Allah Ta'ala has not made the conjugal rights merely a matter of rules and regulations, but also of a natural and emotional requirement of every man and woman. It is on the same pattern as the mutual rights of parents and children are safeguarded by the natural love they have for each other. Allah Ta'ala has filled the hearts of parents with such a natural love that they are compelled to protect their children more than their own selves. Similarly, a degree of natural love is put in the hearts of children for their parents. The same thing is done in the case of spouses, for which it is said, "And He has created love and kindness between you." Surah Ar-Rum, ayat 21. That is, Allah Ta'ala has not restricted the relationship between spouses to a legal and religious relationship, but has filled their hearts with love and compassion. The literal meaning of wad and mawada is liking, which results in love and affection. Here Allah Ta'ala has used two words. One is ma'a, love or friendship, and the other rama, kindness. It is possible that mawada, love, refers to the young age when spouses are attracted towards each other with love and affection, while rama refers to the old age when passions subside and compassion for each other takes over. Qutubai, after that it is said, "Surely in this there are signs for a people who reflect." Surah Ar-Rum, ayat 21. Although this verse has mentioned only one sign, but at the end of the verse, the word signs in plural is used. The reason for this is that conjugal relationship, which is being discussed here, has many aspects, religious and mundane benefits. If all these benefits are taken into consideration, it appears that this relationship contains a number of signs of the divine omnipotence. Third sign of divine omnipotence. The people living on earth are divided into many races, having different physical features and colors. Some are white, while others are black, brown, and yellow. Rather, many have multitude of in-between shades of colors, because of intermarriages among those having different colors. They speak different languages with many different dialects. The creation of the sky and earth is no doubt a great divine masterpiece, but the difference of tongues between human beings is also an equally astonishing divine marvel. The difference of tongues mentioned in this verse includes the difference of languages. There are hundreds of languages spoken in different parts of the world. Some of them are so much at variance from each other that there seems to be absolutely no link between them. Then it also includes the difference of accents, pronunciations, and the qualities of voices. Allah's omnipotence has created the voice of each individual distinguishable from that of the others. The voices of men are clearly distinct from those of women, and the voices of children from those of aged people, and so on, although the apparatus of speech, i.e. the tongue, the lips, the throat, etc., are the same in all human beings.
And of His signs is the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the diversity of your languages and your colors. Indeed, in that are signs for those of knowledge.
The same way there are differences of color and hue. It is seen that babies of different color and hue take birth from the same parents under the same circumstances. All this is the marvel of Allah's creation. The wisdom behind the difference of colors requires a lengthy description which is beyond our scope, but many of these wisdoms can be easily understood by a little reflection. While referring to this sign of the divine omnipotence, this verse has mentioned creation or many things, such as sky, earth, the difference of languages and dialects, difference of color in humans, which are all signs of divine wisdom, and can be recognized and understood with little attention. Hence it is added at the end of the verse, surely in this there are signs for the persons of knowledge. Surah Ar-Rum, ayah 22.
And of his signs is your sleep by night and day, and your seeking of his bounty. Indeed, in that are signs for a people who listen.
Fourth sign of divine omnipotence. Human sleep and economic activities both in daytime and at night have been mentioned in verse Surah Ar-Rum, ayah 32, as the fourth sign of Allah's omnipotence. Unlike some other verses, both night and day have been mentioned in this verse as times of sleep. Similarly, economic activities are mentioned as activities performed both in daytime and at night. In other verses, sleep is described as something done at night, and earning of sustenance as an act of daytime. The reason is that the major purpose of night is to sleep, and some economic activities are also performed as a secondary function. The case of daytime is the opposite, where the major objective is to work, while a little time may be spent in having rest and sleeping. Therefore, both descriptions are correct. Some commentators have tried to interpret this verse in a way that sleep becomes restricted to night and earning of sustenance to daytime, as mentioned in other verses. However, in the light of explanation given above, such a labored interpretation is not called for. Sleep and economic activity is not against asceticism and trust in Allah. It is evident from this verse that sleeping at night and working at daytime is made a natural habit for the humans. It is not something that one has to cultivate, but is a natural gift bestowed by Allah Ta'ala to all His creatures. The point can be proven by the fact that one cannot sleep at times despite making all possible arrangements for the comfort. Sometimes even the sleeping pills become ineffective. But on the other hand, when Allah wills, people go to sleep even on hard floors amidst severe hot and oppressive conditions. The same principle applies to earning of sustenance. It is a common knowledge that two persons having equal opportunities, knowledge and intellect, and putting in equal efforts and skill for earning their livelihood, do not necessarily succeed equally. One earns more than the other, because it is decreed as such by Allah's wisdom. Therefore, one should try to earn the living through all the means available to him, but should not ignore the reality that the outcome of his endeavors depends on the will of Allah, as He is the real provider. At the end of this sign of divine omnipotence it is said, surely in this there are signs for a people who listen. Surah Ar-Rum, ayah 23. Perhaps dependence on listening is placed here because it is commonly seen that the sleep takes over once one lays down in comfort. Similarly, one earns his living by putting in effort and labor in trade, services, etc. But the hand of nature and their attainment is not seen by the ordinary eye. This fact is described and explained by the prophets of Allah. Hence it is said that these signs are beneficial for those who listen with care, and once the reality is understood, they accept it without obstinacy.
And of his signs is that he shows you the lightning, causing fear and aspiration, and he sends down rain from the sky, by which he brings to life the earth after its lifelessness. Indeed, in that are signs for a people who use reason.
Fifth sign of divine omnipotence. Allah Ta'ala shows the flash of lightning to people in which there is risk of its striking, thus destruction. At the same time, there is a hope for rain following the lightning. The rain does follow with His will and gives rise to numerous types of vegetation. At the end of the verse it is said, surely in this there are signs for a people who understand. Surah Ar-Rum, ayah 24, because the mysteries of lightning and rain, and the resultant growth of vegetation can be understood by those with intellect.
And of His signs is that the heaven and earth remain by His command. Then when He calls you with a single call from the earth, immediately you will come forth.
Sixth sign of divine omnipotence. Existence of the sky and earth is by the command of Allah. When He will command the breakup of the system, this strong arrangement, which is working since thousands of years perfectly without a slight depreciation, will end up in no time. Then by the command of Allah, all the dead will assemble in the plain for reckoning. The sixth sign of divine omnipotence is in fact the sum and substance of the previous 5 signs, and they were in fact revealed to explain and elaborate this verse. The subject of this verse continues in the next few verses.
And to him belongs whoever is in the heavens and earth. All are to him devoutly obedient.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 25, for the Tafsir.
And it is he who begins creation, then he repeats it, and that is even easier for him. To him belongs the highest attribute in the heavens and earth, and he is the exalted in might, the wise.
For him is the highest attribute. Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 27. The word mathal is used for any such thing which has resemblance and similarity with something else, but its being exactly like that is not necessary. Therefore the Quran has used the word mathal for Allah Ta'ala at several places, as in this very verse, and in another, but Allah Ta'ala's being is completely beyond resemblance. That is why the word mathal has been translated above as attribute, which is also a possible lexical meaning of the word.
He presents to you an example from yourselves. Do you have among those whom your right hands possess any partners in what we have provided for you, so that you are equal therein and would fear them as you fear of one another within a partnership? Thus do we detail the verses for a people who use reason.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 27, for the Tafsir.
But those who wrong follow their own desires without knowledge. Then who can guide one whom Allah has sent astray? And for them there are no helpers.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 27, for the Tafsir.
So direct your face toward the religion, inclining to truth. Adhere to the fitrah of Allah upon which He has created all people. No change should there be in the creation of Allah. That is the correct religion, but most of the people do not know.
Commentary. The subject of oneness of Allah has been dealt with in these verses by giving various proofs in different styles which are appealing to all types of people. At first, the point is explained by an example that although your servants and slaves are identical with you in looks, appearance, their makeup of limbs, and other physical features, yet you do not permit them to share equally in your power and authority. You are not willing to part with the slightest part of your wealth and power in favor of your subjects, let alone sharing your power and possessions equally. They can neither spend wealth nor time the way they like, as you do, just as you are scared of your insignificant partners while spending without checking with them. You do not allow even this position to your servants. So pause for a minute and ponder that human beings, angels, and all other things in the universe are created by Allah Ta'ala, and they are all His creations and slaves. Then how could you take them as His equals or partners? In the second verse a warning is sounded that although this argument is simple and straightforward, yet there are people who under the influence of their selfish motives do not accept and concede to anything of wisdom and knowledge. In the third verse the Holy Prophet is addressed, and through him the entire humanity is commanded to take note that when the irrationality and the unjust nature of shirk, associating partners with Allah, is established, you should leave aside all trends of shirk and turn to Islam with full devotion. So set your face to the faith steadily. Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 30. After that, it is elaborated in the following verse as to how Islam conforms to nature and meets its requirements, this faith being the nature designed by Allah on which He has created the mankind. There is no change in Allah's creation. That is the straight-faced Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 30. This sentence, Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 30, is the elucidation of the preceding sentence, so set your face to the faith steadily. Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 30. And it also mentions a special trait of this faith, for which it was commanded to be followed in the first sentence, that is, Islam is the religion of nature. Although the commentators have assigned different grammatical constructions to this sentence, yet all of them agree that the nature designed by Allah refers to the straight faith that is ordered to be followed in the first sentence. The nature designed by Allah is explained in the next phrase, that it is the natural design on which Allah has created all people. What is meant by nature? Commentators have given several interpretations to the word fitra, nature, used in the verse, out of which two are more common. The first interpretation is that the word nature is used here for Islam. Hence the meaning is that Allah Ta'ala has made all human beings Muslim by their nature and instinct. In other words, all humans are born Muslims, but it is the surroundings and the environment they live in make them astray from the righteous path. Generally, it happens that the parents teach the child things and beliefs which are contrary to Islam, and therefore he is misled into wrong beliefs. According to Qutb, majority of the elders agree with this interpretation, and it is also recorded in a hadith of Sahihain. The second interpretation is that nature means here capability or capacity. If this meaning of the word nature is adopted, the meaning of the phrase would be that Allah Ta'ala has bestowed the capability to every human being to discern his Creator and believe in him. This capability automatically leads to submission to Islam, provided one makes use of this divine grace. There are, however, some difficulties in adopting the first interpretation. Firstly, it is said in this very verse towards the end, there is no change in Allah's creation. Here Allah's creation means the same as the nature designed by Allah, which is mentioned earlier in the verse. Hence the meaning of this sentence would be that no one could change the nature designed by Allah, while a hadith of Sahihain itself says that the parents of a child make him Jew or Christian. If the meaning of nature is adopted as Islam, then how could the hadith be correct in saying that the child changes later as a Jew or Christian, when it is said in this very verse that the change is not possible? Moreover, this change is a common experience in that there are more disbelievers in the world than Muslims. If Islam is taken as the meaning of nature, in which any change is not possible, then how is it that there are so many disbelievers who have changed their natural instinct after their birth? Secondly, it is stated in an authentic hadith about the boy who was killed by Say ibn Qadir that infidelity was embedded in his nature. It was for this reason that Say ibn Qadir killed him. In that case, this hadith is also in contradiction to the statement that all children are born on Islam. Thirdly, if it is accepted that Islam is something embedded in human nature and they have no control to change it, then it would not be a voluntary act. In that case, there is no room for rewards in the hereafter, because rewards will be awarded on voluntary good deeds. Fourthly, the religious jurists have deduced from authentic hadith that a child, before attaining puberty, is treated in this world according to the faith of his parents. If the parents are infidel, the child will also be taken as an infidel. If he dies a minor, he will not be buried according to Islamic rites. Imam Tor-Pushti has listed all these doubts in his commentary on Masabi and has preferred the second interpretation of the word fitra, nature, because of these difficulties. Also, it is appropriate to say that natural capability cannot be changed. The one who is misled by parents into infidelity does not lose his instinct to discern and comprehend Islam. In the case of the boy killed by Say ibn Qadir also, it is not true that he had lost the capability to discern the truth because of his birth as infidel. Since a man makes use of this divine gift, i.e. the natural capability, with his free will, the reason for his earning its reward is quite evident. By adopting the second interpretation, this statement of the hadith of Sahihain also becomes clear, that although the child is born with the natural instinct to discern the truth, which should lead him to accept Islam, yet his surroundings and parents make him a Jew or a Christian. As for the traditions of some elders, Salaf would explain the word fitra, nature, by the word Islam. It seems that they have not used the word of Islam in the meaning of the capability to comprehend and accept Islam. Mu'adith Dalabi, may Allah have mercy on him, has explained the view of the majority of the Ummah in the same manner. Hadrat Shah Wali al-Dalabi, may Allah have mercy on him, has also endorsed the same view in his book. The essence of his discussion is that Allah Ta'ala has created innumerable things of various temperaments and disposition, and has placed an inherent quality in the nature of each one of them which helps him fulfill the object of his creation. The verse, He who gave everything its shape, in guidance Surah Taha, Ayah 50, also describes the same reality that the Creator has instructed every creature how it should fulfill the purpose of its creation. Those instructions are embodied in the capability of performing required acts by various things. The instinct given to honeybee is to distinguish plants and flowers and make selection for drawing juice from them into its belly for storage in the beehive. The same way the humans are graced with a natural instinct and capability to recognize their Creator and submit to Him. This is what Islam is all about. The above discussion has also clarified the meaning of the sentence, there is no change in Allah's creation, Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 30, meaning no one can bring about any change in the instinct and capability bestowed by Allah Ta'ala, which helps recognize the truth. The wrong environment can make one an infidel, but cannot eliminate his inherent capability to recognize the truth. This explanation also makes the meaning of the verse clear, which says, I have not created jinn and mankind except to worship me. Surah Ad-Dariyat, Ayah 56. It means that Allah has created in their nature the inclination towards and capability to perform His worship. If they make use of this capability, they will never go wrong and astray. It is obligatory to avoid the company of wrongdoers and evil society. Although in this verse the sentence, "There is no change in Allah's creation," Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 30, is in the form of information, which means that no one can change the nature designed by Allah, but it also contains a latent prohibition in the sense that this nature should not be tampered with. Therefore, it is inferred from this verse that one should avoid the situations that render the capability of accepting the truth ineffective or weak. Such situations generally emerge in an evil environment and bad company, or by reading books written by those having wrong beliefs, especially when the reader does not have extensive knowledge and information about Islam.
Adhere to it, turning in repentance to Him, and fear Him and establish prayer, and do not be of those who associate others with Allah.
And establish Salah, and do not be among those who associate partners with Allah. Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 31. In the previous verse it was mentioned that the human nature is designed in a manner that it has an inherent capability to accept the truth. Now in this verse it is emphasized that establishment of prayer is the first requisite for the acceptance of truth, because it is the manifestation of submission to truth and practical affirmation of faith in Islam. After that it is said Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 31, that is, do not join those indulging in shirk, associating others with Allah, because they did not avail of their natural capability to accept the truth. Their misdeeds are mentioned in the next verse, which says,
or of those who have divided their religion and become sects, every faction rejoicing in what it has.
Among those who split up religion and became sects, Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 32, that is, these disbelievers are those who have created a difference between natural faith and the true religion, or they had alienated themselves from the natural faith, as a result of which they are divided into different sects. Shi'an is the plural of Shia. A group of people following a leader is called Shia. The fact is that the natural faith was based on the oneness of Allah, by following which the entire humankind should have been one solid unit and one party. But it so happened that people split out from this unity and started following the personal views of their own leaders. Since the personal views and opinions of different people may always vary from person to person, different groups of people invented their own beliefs in religion. As a consequence, people were divided into various groups and sects, and the Shaitan made them believe that they were the only people on the right path. Each group is happy with what it has before it. Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 32, that is, each group is happy and contented in its own beliefs and declare others being wrong, although they all are astray and treading the wrong path.
And when adversity touches the people, they call upon their Lord, turning in repentance to Him. Then when He lets them taste mercy from Him, at once a party of them associate others with their Lord.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 32 for the Tafsir.
So that they will deny what we have granted them. Then enjoy yourselves, for you are going to know.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 32 for the Tafsir.
Or have we sent down to them an authority, and it speaks of what they were associating with Him?
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 32 for the Tafsir.
And when we let the people taste mercy, they rejoice therein. But if evil afflicts them for what their hands have put forth, immediately they despair.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 32 for the Tafsir.
Do they not see that Allah extends provision for whom He wills and restricts it? Indeed, in that are signs for a people who believe.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 32 for the Tafsir.
So give the relative his right, as well as the needy and the traveler. That is best for those who desire the countenance of Allah, and it is they who will be the successful.
So give to the kinsman his right, and to the needy and the wayfarer. Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 38. In the preceding verse, it was stated that provision of sustenance is the sole prerogative of Allah Ta'ala. He makes it abundant for whom He likes and curtails the sustenance whenever and whomever He so wills. It clearly gives the message that whoever spends it in the way of Allah, he does not make his sustenance dwindle. But if someone acts miserly and tries to accumulate what he has, then his possession does not expand. In the background of this divine rule, the Holy Prophet, and according to Hassan al-Basri, may Allah have mercy on him, every person privileged with abundance is advised not to be close-fisted in spending the wealth Allah has graced him with. Rather, it should be spent on needy cheerfully. This spending will not result in shrinking of the wealth. Some avenues of spending have also been enumerated along with this advice. First, kinsmen. Second, masakin, the needy. Third, travelers, that is, these categories should be given from the wealth that Allah has granted you. At the same time, it has been clarified that this is the right of these people which has been obligated on your wealth. Therefore, while giving it to them, no favor should be shown to them, because passing on someone's share to him is an act of fairness and justice and not a favor. Kinsmen in this verse apparently means common relatives, whether marims or otherwise, as explained by the majority of the commentators. The words, his right, also refers to the rights of the kinsman in general terms, and encompasses obligatory rights, such as those of parents, children, and other close relations. It also includes voluntary acts of beneficence and charity, which carry greater rewards when done for close relations compared to when performed in favor of any other non-relative common person. So much so that the Imam of Tafsir Mujahid, may Allah have mercy on him, has said that the charity of that person is not acceptable in the sight of Allah who neglects his own close relatives and gives it to someone else. It should also be understood that the right of close relatives is not restricted to financial support, but it includes looking after them and providing any physical service to them as well. If nothing else is within means, they may at least be treated sympathetically and be consoled in their distress. Sayyidina Hassan, may Allah be pleased with him, has said that the one who enjoys abundance in wealth should help his close relatives with money, and the one who does not have it should provide physical service and consolation verbally. Put to by after kinsmen, the rights of indigent and then of the travelers follow. For meeting these rights also the same principle applies, that is, if one has financial means, he should extend monetary help to them. Otherwise, physical service and consolation may discharge the right.
And whatever you give for interest to increase within the wealth of people will not increase with Allah. But what you give in zakah, desiring the countenance of Allah, those are the multipliers.
And whatever riba, increased amount you give so that it may increase in the wealth of the people. Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 39. This verse is meant to correct an evil custom which is common in close relatives and the families at large. When people extend a gift or a present to relatives, especially at the time of marriages, they make a note of the amount they have given, in the hope that they will get back an equal amount in return when it is their turn, rather a little more. This custom is known in Urdu as niyota. It is emphasized in this verse that the instruction given in the preceding verse about the rights of relatives should be implemented in a manner that neither it be shown as a favor, nor should it be given in the hope of any return. Whoever gives out money in the hope that it will bring back something more, then it is not worthy of reward in the sight of Allah. Quran has referred to it as riba, alluding that it is as bad as usury or interest. This explanation is based on the view of a number of exegetes of Quran. The word used by the Holy Quran is rib, a term commonly understood as equivalent to usury or interest, prohibition of which has been detailed in verses Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 275 to 281 of Surah Al-Baqarah, and verse Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 130 of Surah Al-Imran. Since, according to a large number of scholars, usury was prohibited in Medina, while the present verse is Meccan, the word riba used here cannot mean usury or interest. Therefore, the word is interpreted here as a gift given to a relative in order to get back a gift of higher value from him. But some other commentators have taken the word riba in the same sense as in Surah Al-Baqarah, i.e. usury and interest. They argue that usury was prohibited even in Mecca, but its implementation on a state level was carried out in Medina. The esteemed author has reconciled between these two views by saying that the direct purpose of the verse is to correct the evil custom of giving gifts in the hope of getting a higher return, as mentioned in some traditions, but the word riba is used to indicate that this practice is tantamount to the practice of usury where an increased amount is charged from a debtor. Muhammad Taqi Asmani ruling. It is extremely contemptible for a person who extends a gift to someone that he expects a return for it, which is forbidden in this verse. But it is morally desirable for the one who receives a gift from someone that he tries to give a gift to the former on his own accord, whenever he finds a suitable occasion. This was exactly the practice of the Holy Prophet. He used to give present to the person who gave him one. Quoted by on authority of Sayyidah Aisha, may Allah be pleased with him. However, it should be avoided to give him an impression that the gift is being given in return of his own.
Allah is the one who created you, then provided for you, then will cause you to die, and then will give you life. Are there any of your partners who does anything of that? Exalted is He, and high above what they associate with Him.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 39, for the Tafsir.
Corruption has appeared throughout the land and sea by reason of what the hands of people have earned, so He may let them taste part of the consequence of what they have done, that perhaps they will return to righteousness.
Commentary. Flight has appeared on land and sea because of what the hands of the people have earned. Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 41. The author of Ra'ul Ma'ani has explained that the word fasad, translated in the text as plight, means all sorts of calamities, such as famine, epidemic diseases, frequency of the incidents of fire, drowning, lack of Allah's blessing in everything, and reduction in profits and incurring of losses in lucrative businesses. It can also be deduced from this verse that the cause of falling of calamities in the world is commission of sins and other evil acts by the people. Shirk, association of partners with Allah, and infidelity are the most severe of them all, and other sins follow after them. The same subject has appeared in another verse with a difference. Surah Ash-Shura, Ayah 30, that is, whatever troubles you are inflicted with are due to your own wrongdoings. The essence of this statement is that whatever troubles and tribulations people face in this world are brought about by their own sins, despite the fact that many of these sins are pardoned, and many are punished but slightly, and yet some others are left unpunished. There are only a few sins that are punished by way of calamities. If all sins were punished with the intensity they deserve, no one would have been left alive in the world. But it is our good fortune that Allah Ta'ala forgives so many of our sins, and those which are not forgiven are dealt with very mildly, as stated at the end of the verse, so that He, Allah, makes them taste same of what they did. Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 41, that is, He lets them taste a little of their evil deeds. After that, it is pointed out that whatever trouble and tribulation is sent down to them in this world, though as a result of their misdeeds, is in fact blessing and grace from Him, if only one could ponder. The purpose of these worldly troubles is to awaken them from their slumber so that they get rid of their evil acts. This would naturally result in their favor and bring them blessings, as stated at the end of the verse, in order that they may return to the right way. Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 41. Big calamities fall upon the world because of the sins of people. It is in this backdrop that some scholars have declared that if a man commits an evil deed, he harms the entire humankind, beasts, birds, and other animals, because whatever calamities fall upon earth due to his sins, all others are also affected by it. Therefore, each one of the sufferers of the calamities will lodge a claim against the sinner on doomsday. Shakik Sahih has said that whoever acquires something unlawfully, he does not harm only the person whom he has taken it from, but also the entire humankind. It is because this opens up the door for others to follow, and thus the whole humanity gets involved in the practice. Secondly, this evil practice invites the calamities, which in turn bring about troubles for everyone. Answer to a doubt. It is recorded in authentic hadith that the Holy Prophet has said, "This world is a prison for the believers and heaven for the infidels." He then elaborated that the infidels get the reward of their good deeds in this world only in the form of wealth and health, whereas the reward of the believers is saved up to be awarded in the hereafter. Furthermore, the believers in this world are like a branch of tree, which drifts from side to side in the breeze and stands still when the breeze stops, and ultimately they leave the world in this very condition. It is also stated that the worldly tribulations afflict the prophets most, and then to those who are near to them, and then to those who are near to the near ones. The most severe trials are faced by the prophets, then by those closer to them, then by those closer to them. Apparently, all these authentic hadiths seem to be in conflict with the statement given in this verse. Further, it is also a common experience that generally the Muslim believers live a difficult life, whereas the infidels and libertines live a comfortable and easy life. If the troubles and difficulties were afflicted because of sins, as mentioned in the verse, the situation would have been exactly opposite. Answer to this quandary is that the verse under reference has mentioned the sins as a cause for inviting troubles. but not the only cause. May Allah have mercy on him, in the sense that whenever one is afflicted with troubles, it is only due to his sins. As a rule, if the cause of some happening comes to surface, its resultant effect normally follows. However, in certain cases, the normal effect is overtaken by some other cause, suppressing or altogether eliminating the normal effect. For instance, if someone says that purgatives are used for moving the bowls, this statement is true as far as the effect of purgatives is concerned. But sometimes they don't move the bowls under the effect of some other drug or an unknown reason. Similarly, it is also a common experience that at times antipyretics do not bring down the fever and the sleeping pills do not put one to sleep. Therefore, the upshot of the verse is that it is one of the traits of sins to invite troubles and tribulations, but sometimes due to other conflicting reasons, the troubles do not come about. On the other hand, the opposite of this can also happen at times, that is, troubles and tribulations may come about without commitment of sins, because their appearance without sins has not been ruled out in the verse altogether. Therefore, in the case of prophets and pious persons, calamities may visit them without sins. In such situations, the cause of vexation is not sins, but for the sake of upgrading their status. Tests and trials are conducted by putting them into trouble. Moreover, the Holy Qur'an has assigned the reason for the troubles and tribulations as sins of people, for such situations where these calamities engulf the whole world or the entire city, and all humans and animals are afflicted with that. Normally such calamities fall when sins are committed openly and freely. In the case of individual troubles and tribulations, this rule does not apply, because sometimes calamities befall for trials and tests, and when the individual passes the test successfully, his position is raised in the hereafter. In fact, such calamities prove to be blessings and graces of Allah Ta'ala. Hence it is not correct to call a person sinner if he is afflicted with calamity. In the same way, it is not apt to consider someone pious and righteous if he is affluent. However, the main reason for the affliction of major troubles and calamities, such as famine, storms, epidemics, inflation, and lack of Allah's blessing, is commission of sins openly in defiance of Allah's rule. Special note: Hadrat Shah Waliullah, may Allah have mercy on him, has commented in that there are two types of causes in this world for good or evil, trouble or comfort, and difficulty or ease. Causes of the first kind are visible or outward, while causes of the second type are latent or inward. Outward causes are the material causes which are seen by all and normally regarded as such, whereas the inward causes are those based on human actions which lead to either help from the angels or to their curse and hate. For example, the causes of rain for the scientists and philosophers are the formation of vapors in the form of clouds over the oceans due to heat, then their drift toward the land by the breeze, then their ascent to heights because of the heat of land, and then freezing of vapors after attaining heights into the cooler strata, and after being defrosted by the heat of sun, their ultimate fall from the height in the form of water drops. But the ahadith on the subject tell us that this whole process is an act of the angels. In fact, there is no contradiction in the two statements, as there could be many causes for any one process. Hence the outward cause in this case is the scientific explanation referred above, while the inward cause could be the action of the angels. When both these causes are combined, the rain falls according to need and expectation, and if both the causes do not combine, the rainfall may be interrupted. Explaining the subject further, Shah Waliullah, may Allah have mercy on him, has said that some causes of the tribulations of the world are physical or biological, which do not recognize good or bad. For instance, it is the characteristic of fire to burn, without considering whether someone is pious or sinner, unless it receives a divine command to act otherwise, as was the case in the fire of Nimrod, which was commanded to cool down and be tranquil for Sayyidina Ibrahim. The attribute of water is to drown the heavier bodies, so it will always act to perform this duty. Similarly, other elements are also performing their assigned jobs. For some, they become troublesome and arduous, but for others they bring in comfort and ease. Like the outward physical causes, the good or evil deeds of a person are also effective in bringing troubles and tribulations or ease and comfort. When both outward and inward causes of ease, happiness, and comfort join together, the person or group of people enjoy ease and comfort in life. As against this, if the natural causes bring in distress and problems for an individual or a group of people, and his or their actions also call for troubles and tribulations, then the calamities fall as a rule. Sometimes it happens that as the material outward causes are working to bring about troubles and calamity, but the good actions of a person are inclined for ease and comfort in his life, In such a conflicting situation, the inward causes are consumed in countering the influence of the outward causes. As a result, the full benefit of his friendly inward causes is not reaped. Likewise, it happens sometimes that the material causes demand the ease and comfort, but the inward causes or his actions invite troubles and tribulations. In this conflicting situation also, neither full comfort and ease is available nor the calamities take their full toll. In a similar manner, the material causes are sometimes made unfavorable for a prophet, saint or pious to put him to test. If this explanation is understood properly, then the mutual harmony and consistency between the Quranic verses and the referred ahadith becomes apparent, and any doubts about inconsistency or conflict are removed. Difference between trial or test and punishment or torment when calamities fall. When the calamities fall, they are meant for trial and test for some good people in order to atone their sins or raise their status, and for others to punish them for their sins. In both cases, the form of the calamities look alike. Then how should they be differentiated? Shah Walyala, may Allah have mercy on him, has said that the calamities on good people for the sake of tests can be recognized by their endurance with contentment, which is a gift of God. They remain happy and contented in troubles and calamities like a patient who remains contented on his treatment by medicines of bitter taste or by a painful surgery. Not only that he does not complain of the pains he faced during treatment, but also pays fees for it, and deploys all sorts of resources for getting himself treated in such a painful manner. As against this, the evildoers, on whom the calamities fall as punishment, take it to heart and cry and moan against the sufferings they are placed in. Sometimes they utter words of ingratitude to the extent of blasphemy. Sayyidi Hakamulama Ashraf Nabi, may Allah have mercy on him, has given another distinction between the two calamities. If one becomes aware of his sins and faults and finds greater inclination toward seeking pardon from Allah Ta'ala, then it is a sign of his kindness and favor. But if one gets frustrated and indulges more in sins and evil, then it is a sign of Allah's wrath and torment.
Say, O Muhammad, travel through the land and observe how was the end of those before. Most of them were associators of others with Allah.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 41 for the Tafsir.
So direct your face toward the correct religion before a day comes from Allah of which there is no repelling. That day they will be divided.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 41 for the Tafsir.
Whoever disbelieves, upon him is the consequence of his disbelief. And whoever does righteousness, they are for themselves preparing.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 41 for the Tafsir.
That he may reward those who have believed and done righteous deeds out of his bounty. Indeed, he does not like the disbelievers.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 41 for the Tafsir.
And of his signs is that he sends the winds as bringers of good tidings, and to let you taste his mercy, and so the ships may sail at his command, and so you may seek of his bounty, and perhaps you will be grateful.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 41 for the Tafsir.
And we have already sent messengers before you to their peoples, and they came to them with clear evidences. Then we took retribution from those who committed crimes, and incumbent upon us was support of the believers.
Commentary. Then we took vengeance upon those who were guilty, and it was due on us to help the believers. Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 47. This verse tells us that Allah Ta'ala has taken it upon himself to help the believers. On the face of this statement, one would have expected that Muslims would never be defeated against the infidels. But on many occasions, results have been exactly opposite. Answer to this confusion is at hand in this very verse, that by the word believers, those believers are intended who fight with infidels purely for the sake of Allah. Allah Ta'ala takes revenge of only such believers from the criminals and helps them overpower their adversaries. Wherever the position is different, it is due to some sort of slip on the part of the believers, as Quran itself has quoted about the battle of Uhud. Shaitan had but made them slip for some of their deeds. Surah Al-Imran, Ayah 155. Even in such a situation, Allah Ta'ala graces them with victory and upper hand, once they realize their fault, as it happened in the battle of Uhud. As for such people who are Muslims only by name and are habitual defiant and negligent of the teachings of Islam, and are not penitent even when the infidels gain upper hand, they are for sure not included in this promise of Allah Ta'ala, and do not qualify for His help. Nonetheless, Allah Ta'ala provides help by His grace on many occasions without anyone deserving it. Therefore, it is always beneficial to beg for His mercy and hope for His help.
It is Allah who sends the winds, and they stir the clouds and spread them in the sky however He wills. And He makes them fragments, so you see the rain emerge from within them. And when He causes it to fall upon whom He wills of His servants, immediately they rejoice.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 47 for the Tafsir.
Although they were, before it was sent down upon them, before that in despair.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 47 for the Tafsir.
So observe the effects of the mercy of Allah, how He gives life to the earth after its lifelessness. Indeed, that same One will give life to the dead, and He is over all things competent.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 47 for the Tafsir.
But if we should send a bad wind, and they saw their crops turned yellow, they would remain thereafter disbelievers.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 47 for the Tafsir.
So indeed, you will not make the dead hear, nor will you make the deaf hear the call when they turn their backs, retreating.
So you cannot make the dead to hear Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 52, as for the issue whether the dead have the ability to hear or not, and if they have this ability, whether it is exclusive to some, or all can hear. This subject has been dealt with briefly in the commentary of Surah An-Naml in this volume, and a detailed discussion can be seen in my book.
And you cannot guide the blind away from their error. You will only make hear those who believe in our verses, so they are Muslims in submission to Allah.
See Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 52 for the Tafsir.
Allah is the one who created you from weakness, then made after weakness strength, then made after strength weakness and white hair. He creates what He wills, and He is the knowing, the competent.
Commentary. The greater part of this surah aims at removing the doubts of the deniers of the hereafter. For meeting this end, many verses deal with the signs of Allah's omnipotence and His all-encompassing wisdom in order to awake people from their slumber. The first of the above referred verses deals with the same subject in a different manner. It is pointed out that man is impetuous by nature, in the sense that he gets involved in the present so much that he forgets the past and the future. This habit leads him to many serious problems. When he is young, his strength is at its peak, and he does not care about anyone in his overweening pride. He finds it difficult to remain within limits. In order to warn people, this verse has given a complete picture of the strength and weakness in human life as they come and go by. It is pointed out in the verse that the man starts his life in a state of weakness and ends it with a similar weakness. It is only in the middle of his life that he gains strength for a short period. It is in his own interest that he should keep in mind the impending weakness while he is still strong, and does not forget how he achieves strength gradually from the state of weakness. The man is reminded of his real self in who created you in a state of weakness. Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 54. It means that his original base is a dirty drop of semen that has neither strength, nor sense or life. So ponder who has turned this sickening drop into congealed blood, then into flesh, and then transfixed bones into the flesh. After that, who has produced delicate machines of the limbs and organs to turn him into a mobile factory, which is supported by numerous automatic machines. If one is to look more closely into this factory, one would notice that it is a mini-world of its own in which innumerable models of his creation are set in. The creation and bringing up of man is not brought about in a giant factory, but in 3 dark stages in the womb of his mother. After spending 9 months in the womb of mother, man ultimately takes birth to come out into this world. The Holy Quran says, "Then Allah facilitated exit from the womb for him." Surah Abasa, Ayah 20. When he came into this world, his condition was that, "And Allah has brought you forth from your mother's wombs when you knew nothing." Surah An-Nahl, Ayah 78. Then Allah made you learn so many things. The first lesson was to teach you crying so that you could attract the attention of your parents towards you, and they should look for your needs of thirst and hunger. Then you were taught the skill to suck milk by pressing your lips and thumbs from your mother's breasts for your sustenance. Who else had the power to teach these two skills to an infant having no intelligence, to meet all his needs? Indeed, no one else but the power who is responsible for his creation. The infants are weak at that stage of their life. Minor exposure to cold or heat makes them sick. They can neither ask for their needs, nor can they remove any of their miseries. Right from the stage until they attain their youth, one can see in them a gradual development of life and strength, a process only Allah Ta'ala can create and control, and a clear manifestation of His omnipotence, if people could only contemplate. Then He created strength after weakness. Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 54. When man reaches the stage of his strength, he gets involved in showing off his powers and intelligence. He flies to reach the moon and Mars and tries to overpower the earth and oceans. He forgets all about his past and becomes oblivious of his future, and cries out, "Who is stronger than us in might?" Surah Fussilat, Ayah 15. So much so that in the state of intoxication, he even forgets his Creator and His command. So the nature has warned to make him realize his folly, then created weakness and old age. Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 54. O remiss! Be mindful of the fact that your present strength is temporary, and you have to return to the same old weakness, and it will take you gradually to your gray hair. Then all your limbs and organs will change their shape and form. You need not go through any books in the history of the world, but look into your own concealed self, and you will be left with no other option but to accept and believe that He creates what He wills, and He is the all-knowing, the all-powerful. Surah Ar-Rum, Ayah 54. All this control and running of affairs are by the one who creates them. He does as He pleases, and in a manner as it pleases Him. He has no parallel in knowledge and power. Knowing all this, is there any room for doubt that He can resurrect the dead whenever He likes?
And the day the hour appears, the criminals will swear they had remained but an hour. Thus they were deluded.
After this, the falsehood and ignorance of the deniers of the doomsday is mentioned, that is, when the doomsday will come. These deniers of the doomsday will start swearing by losing senses after looking at the horrid scenes that their stay was not more than 1 hour. It is probable that the stay referred to here is the stay in this world, because they spent the time in this world in comfort and ease. And when they will encounter troubles in the hereafter, they, by way of a natural habit of man to regard the comfortable period of his life very short, will swear that they lived in the world hardly for 1 hour. The other probability is that the stay is their stay in graves in Barzakh. In that case, the meaning would be that they had thought that their stay in graves, that is Barzakh, would be very long, and the doomsday would come after a long period, but it would seem to them that they stayed in Barzakh for a very short time, and the day of judgment dawned too early. The reason for this feeling is that they will not find any comfort for themselves in the hereafter. Rather, it will bring nothing but problems for them. And it is human nature that when he is taken over by problems, he considers the time previously spent in comfort being very short-lived. Although the Barzakh is also a place of punishment for the infidels, yet it is much lighter as compared to what they will come across in Qiyamah. Hence, they will regard the period of Barzakh as very short and swear that their stay in it was brief. Would anyone be able to lie before Allah on the day of resurrection? It is revealed in this verse that the infidels will lie on the day of resurrection in their swearing that they did not stay in the world or Barzakh for more than an hour. It is also revealed in another verse that the disbelievers will say on oath that they were not disbelievers. By Allah, our Lord, we ascribe no partners to Allah. Surah Al-An'am, Ayah 23. What needs to be understood here is that it will be Allah's court on the day of resurrection, and He will allow all and sundry to say whatever one wishes to say, whether one lies or speaks the truth. Allah is all knowledgeable, and is not dependent on anyone to find out what is false and what is true. When anyone will speak a lie, his mouth will be sealed, and his skin, hair, and limbs will be asked to give evidence. They will relate the truth in full detail, after which the liar will be left with no excuse. The verse, "Today we set a seal on their mouths, and their hands will speak to us," Surah Yasin, Ayah 65, means the same. Some other Quranic verses reveal that there will be different occasions for the appearance of human beings before Allah Ta'ala on the day of resurrection. On one such occasion, no one will have the right to speak without permission from Allah Ta'ala, and he will have to speak nothing but truth. It will not be possible for him to speak a lie, as stated in the verse, "They shall speak not." save him to whom the All-Merciful has given leave, and who speaks aright. Surah An-Naba, ayah 38. No one will be able to speak a lie in the grave. As against this, it is related in some authentic ahadith in regard to questions and answers in the grave that when it will be asked from the infidels, "Who is your Lord? And who is Muhammad?" they will answer, "That is, alas, I do not know anything." If it were possible to speak a lie, he would have said, "Allah is my Lord and Muhammad is his prophet." It looks rather strange that infidels are capable of speaking lies before Allah Ta'ala, but not before the angels. But when it is looked at deeply, the explanation is simple. That is, the angels neither have the knowledge of the unknown, nor can they seek evidence from the limbs to confute the liar. If they had the capability of speaking lies before the angels, then all infidels and sinners would have been carefree about the torment of the grave. On the other hand, Allah Ta'ala knows even the secrets of hearts, and also has the power to elicit evidence from the limbs and organs for exposing the liars. Therefore, allowing this freedom on the day of resurrection will not interfere with the rule of justice. Surah Ar-Rum was completed by grace Allah on 28th of Dhul-Qa'dah, 1391 Hijra.
But those who were given knowledge and faith will say, "You remained the extent of Allah's decree until the day of resurrection, and this is the day of resurrection, but you did not use to know."
See Surah Ar-Rum, ayah 55 for the Tafsir.
So that day, their excuse will not benefit those who wronged, nor will they be asked to appease Allah.
See Surah Ar-Rum, ayah 55 for the Tafsir.
And we have certainly presented to the people in this Quran from every kind of example. But O Muhammad, if you should bring them a sign, the disbelievers will surely say, "You believers are but falsifiers."
See Surah Ar-Rum, ayah 55 for the Tafsir.
Thus does Allah seal the hearts of those who do not know.
See Surah Ar-Rum, ayah 55 for the Tafsir.
So be patient. Indeed, the promise of Allah is truth, and let them not disquiet you who are not certain in faith.
See Surah Ar-Rum, ayah 55 for the Tafsir.